Good evening, everyone. So, today is Sunday, the 29th of March. We're all gathering here this time to do this evening chanting to show our respect to the Buddha and homage. So, today is just about to end the Sunday, the first day of Sujato. And all day I have abandoned him because of my schedules. So he was left alone with no mobile phones. He stayed in a room like a what is it called? Contained prison himself. So, do you want to say something? Any story to tell today? Story that I ask you to prepare? You just turn this way and then you can take the mic closer so people can hear. You can tell your experience first and then tell the story that you prepared.
Today's experience was boring mostly.
Boring?
Yeah. In my room, reading, sleeping.
Best place.
Looking outside, reading, sleeping. Like that the whole day. I was reading a story. It was called the How Buddha Found the Truth. Yeah. It started like Buddha left the palace with Channa and Kataka. Kantaka is the horse. He left everyone he knew and loved. So they set off, and before they left the city, they reached the gates and they looked back at Kapilavastu, and they made their way to the river bank of Naranjala, where Siddhartha removed all his jewelry and cut his hair and gave it all to Channa to give to his dad. And then he wore a yellow robe and took a begging bowl and told Channa to go give the jewelry and my clothes to my father the king. Channa refused to leave him, but then he said, "You also have to give this message," which read out, "I have left the palace to go find the way to stop sickness, old aging, death, and I can't find it. So then Channa agreed to, but then Kantaka the horse didn't want to move. So Siddhartha went and talked to the horse, and the horse decided to move, but after a few steps, it looked back and looked at Prince Siddhartha, and Siddhartha saw the horse's tears running down its cheeks, and then a few moments later, the horse died of pure sorrow, and that's how the story ended.
Mm. So, regarding the horse. This horse was untamable horse, wild horse, and there were this competition that whoever would able to tame this horse, he could marry Yasodhara. That was the story. And then a prince from various countries came to tame this horse so that they can marry Yasodhara. Yasodhara is the wife, Siddhartha's wife, Buddha's ex-wife. And then no one could tame this horse. Everybody was using the force to control this horse. And they failed. And they thought that the Prince Siddhartha was brought up in a palace. He was homeschooling and he was not exposed to the world, kept in a very strict boundaries, because there was a fear that if the Siddhartha sees old age, sickness and death and a monk, he would leave the palace and become a monk. So he was in a strict restriction to go around. So people thought that he would not be able to tame this horse. And people thought that Siddhartha would be very softy and don't know how to fight and how to tame the horses. But because the king Suddhodana requested him to go for this competition, so he went and he was chosen the last one because of thinking that he's a softy. So then he went to tame the horse. Everybody was like looking through like amazedly what's going to happen. One kick, Siddhartha will fall down and he will give up. Then Siddhartha was walking slowly and he used the loving kindness, spread the loving kindness towards this horse. Then rather than the horse was initially like the wild horse that no one could tame, that horse just kept calm and came to the Siddhartha. And that's how this horse became Siddhartha's personal horse. And he used it for a long time. He used it for, let's say, he married at the age of 16 and he left at the age of 29. So almost 13 years he was using this horse. And then after he left the palace, Kantaka, his name is Kantaka, then he walked after Siddhartha told him to go home. So he walked, and just before the horse reached the gate of the Kapilavastu city, he died there. And in memory of this horse, there is a pagoda still there. That pagoda. Not a few steps and died, but he walked quite a far from Neranjara river to the palace. And then this palace, just before reaching the palace, this horse could not bear anymore and got a heart attack and died. And then his father made the stupa in the memory of this horse, and this stupa is still there. So that's the Kantaka, the horse story. So when I went to Kapilavastu for the first time, That was when I was a novice monk. So that's 1997. And that time I went to Kapilavastu um, simply because in 1996 one of the Japanese monk who was building the Peace Pagoda in Lumbini was killed. And then I just became a novice monk. So my teacher, along with my teacher, sent me along with other three novices and a few other people, so one bus load, to go and support um, to build this peace pagoda and support the community in Lumbini. And that was my first visit to Lumbini. And we were building, supporting this building of this peace pagoda for 4 days. And that time it was just a foundation. And and my teacher was there too. So then he took us to visit this Kapilvastu palace area. And my teacher is the historian. So he took us to the whole area, palace area, one palace after another, and he took us to this north. I think that's north or south, maybe south. I forgot the exact the direction. He took us to that gate, which is even now, it's ruined. But my teacher explained, saying that it's like he was walking through that time. So he had studied so much about it. So he walked on that, and he told the stories like, so this is how Prince Siddhartha was riding the horse and then walked through this one, and then all the guards were just there, and then they were like guarding, not Siddhartha, they were guarding that Siddhartha would not go out from the palace, and somehow all the celestial beings thought that this is the time that the Prince Siddhartha is going to leave the palace, and they used the magic power to let all the soldiers in both sides in the little kutis, a little what's called the hiding spots where the soldiers will sit. So they all fell asleep, and then the Lord Indra comes and he opens this gate. No cracking sound. It just opens, and he was using this like it's just open. It was like there. He was imagining everything, and we were just listening. It was so fascinating. This opened like this, and then he rode on the horse, and then fly away. Uh, so fly away, and after that, so then early morning, realized that Siddhartha had gone. And then after that, we sat down. He sat down one of the walls that was ruined, and we were sitting around there. And he was telling the stories that after this Kantaka came back with this Chanda, Chanda was also crying, holding this princely crown, crying, and the horse was also crying. The tears was falling, and he could not bear anymore, so he died over there, like that. So that story, the way he told, was so beautiful. I still remember that moment when he was telling that story. And so that was my first visit to this area. And then later I went back again, and at that time, that was about 10 years ago. 10, yeah, about 10 years ago. No, 10, 11 years ago. I went back to visit this site again. And at that time, Dr. Ian Cunningham from Newcastle University, no, sorry, Durham University in Newcastle, he was investigating, and he's one of the best archaeological archaeologists of Lumbini and Buddha's area. Actually, his grandfather was the one who discovered that Lumbini. Before that, it was like a wilderness covered with the mud, and his father was a treasure hunter, hunting for treasures in India, and that's how he found that Cunningham. And so this Ian, he was there and he was excavating, and he excavated Buddha's two other palaces. And one of the palaces they found the um, the construction of pipeline with this pipeline pipeline for the sewage. And they're made of clay, made of a clay. So then he was saying that the technology and the way they're thinking at that time quite advanced, using those clay pots, sorry, clay tubes to make this waterway. And then after they excavated, because of the shortage of a fund, they covered by a plastic all the site and then covered it with the mud, put it back into the earth again. And then I asked, why did you do that? And he said that if because no, number one, there is no budget to cover all, and it will be damaged if not covered. So no funds. And the second, if do not put back under the earth, it will be destroyed or stolen. So they put it back under cover again. So that was an interesting time. I saw these three palaces. So Prince Siddhartha had three palaces, one for summer, one for winter, one for rainy. And all these three palaces had different pools, swimming pools with different lotus flowers. So that's how the waterways been built. So and then he was excavating that, and he was explaining that. So this place, that's why Buddha's place or Buddha's life, historically there is a proof. Archaeologically there is a proof. And then from a diary or pilgrimage sites, there is a proof too. So with that, we can 100% confirm that the Buddha was there. Unlike other religious teachers, it's very difficult to designate the time and the things. So the Buddha was someone that historically approved or can be proved his existence. So this Kapilavastu now is under the World Heritage Site. UNESCO is a patron, and among the Buddhist places, the Lumbini is the place which is developed as the beacon of peace under the UN Charter support, and build so many temples around with the master plan. It's a beautiful site. So if you Google it and you see the map, then you will see within the master plan of Lumbini is forest. The rest is brown. No forest, no trees at all. Only that area will be trees. Yeah? So that's the Lumbini. And this Lumbini became famous because um, the prime minister from Myanmar, he was uh, appointed as a UN secretary, and he visited this site as a Buddhist and also as a secretary, UN secretary. When he visited, he saw the area didn't have a road, area didn't have electricity, it's in the middle of nowhere, and he approached to the king saying that this is very important place spiritually and also from a human perspective. Yeah. And in terms of spiritual, Buddha said that if you ever think or if you ever miss me, visit these sites. One of the four is the Lumbini where the Buddha was born. Then master plan drawn with the help of a king as the head, uh, and that's how Lumbini Development Trust formed, and that's how this Lumbini established beautifully. It's a worth visiting place, Lumbini, where the Buddha was born. Right. So with this, now let's do the chanting.